I'll be sharing with you some tips to help you cut down costs in your water factory. So these tips will help you even if you are running a pure water factory, a bottled water factory, a yogurt factory, or any kind of filling and packaging factory business you are into. So these tips today will help you know some of those measures which we take, because that's the perspective which I'm speaking from, and I'm sure a lot of people can also relate to it if you are watching this video. So I'll be sharing with you those tips which will help you cut down costs in your pure water factory and your bottled water factory. And without wasting much time, the first tip I have here is for you to plan your production. So if you want to cut down on costs of production, especially when it comes to power and electricity, because that's one of the major challenges which we personally face in our factory. So for like the pure water factory, arranging or organizing planned productions will help you know when you are going to produce and the amounts you want to produce. So let's say for example, you are living in an area where you don't have steady power supply from NEPA or AEDC, anywhere you are. So what this means is, if you know you will be running out of water or your pure water will soon get exhausted, what you should do is call your operator and plan with your operator. Okay, at the given time for so hours, maybe for 5 hours or 8 hours, depending on how much quantity of water you want. You can make plans, arrange raw materials, make resources available, so that by the time the operator comes in, even though it's generator you're using, you know, for so hours, for this limited time, I'll run my production on generator. If it's light you are expecting, because I know there are some areas which they ration the light. So you can make plans that when you have light, maybe if they give you light for like 12 hours, you can make plans that for these 12 hours, we will have all the raw materials and all the resources needed to be able to produce within this time frame. So by making planned productions, you are able to produce ahead of time, and having a big storage facility, a place to house all this water, is also important. So by the time you produce in bulk, you are able to store them and deliver them to the market. Personally, at Samsav factory and also some other factories which I've seen too, sometimes they can do production of up to 1,000 bags, 2,000 bags, 3,000 bags. In short, if you know you exhaust 500 bags in a day, you can make production of like 3,000 bags that will cover the next 5 days. So making planned productions like this will help you cut down on costs, whereby maybe if you are doing production every day, you call your operator today, you see you have to pay maybe for their transportation, for their feeding and other things. You pay for that one today, tomorrow again you call him for production, you still pay for some of all those things, and so on. So by making planned productions, you are able to produce and organize your business ahead of time. The next tip which I will also give here is to have targeted supply. So if you are running delivery vehicles, you know these vehicles run on fuel, and fuel now is expensive in Nigeria. In short, just yesterday I heard that the price of petroleum will soon reach, is it 1,000 naira per liter. So you can see how inflated the price of petrol is getting. So in order for you to cut down costs, it is important for you to have targeted supply. Now, it's not every delivery which you will have to run with your delivery vehicles. Sometimes you can make deliveries to people who you know they are buying in bulk quantity, or people who you've already established relationship. But for the most part, it is advisable that you have a storage facility. You should have like a freezer too in your factory or wherever it is that you store your water, and from there you are also able to sell to people who come in to buy from you right at the door of your factory. And even when you get delivery calls, you can also discuss with the customer and let them know that for this amount of pure water, for these bags of pure water, or for bottled water, these packs of bottled water, you can't make delivery. But if they are buying from maybe 50 and above, 100 and above, you can make delivery. So by having targeted deliveries like this, you cut down on the cost of delivering your water, and you'll be able to organize your business ahead of time. And a good way that this could also help you is, let's say you are making deliveries, or maybe a customer buys water now, another customer comes in like in 30 minutes time and buy again. Another one calls in like in an hour or 2 hours time, they call again. Sometimes you can just get the accurate amount of orders which you have, then go for one delivery run. By going for that one delivery run, you are able to supply the water to your customers. And it's good for you to also call them and let them know that you won't be bringing, because some customers might need the water, but maybe if you are not able to go for those runs, you let them know that at a scheduled time, this is what we'll do, we'll bring the water to you, and you can explain to them. I'm sure by explaining it to them, they'll have that understanding with you, don't put pressure on you, and you continue your business and cut down on cost. So having targeted delivery is important in cutting down costs in your water factory. The next tip I'll be sharing here is your raw materials. Buy in bulk. I know in previous videos I've also mentioned it, but I can't stress this enough. For you to cut down on costs of production, you need to buy your raw materials in bulk. In short, we just heard recently that the prices of PET bottles, preforms, is going up. So you see, if you have these preforms in bulk, let's say if you have the money to buy up to 100 bags of preforms, it can last you a long period of time, or even up to 1,000 bags if you're capable, because the prices of these preforms, they keep on increasing almost on a monthly basis. If you go to the market today to buy preforms or to buy rolls or nylon, anything related to production, if you buy it this month at a certain price, if you go to the market next month, you'll hear a different price. So for you to cut down on cost effectively and produce your product consistently in your factory, it is important for you to buy raw materials ahead of time and buy them in bulk. This will help you cut down on cost. I was consulting with a client and he was also asking me about these raw materials, where we get them, and so on. And luckily, he watched my videos and he already has plans to buy like an entire storage facility. He wants to just fill it up with raw materials even before beginning production. So taking steps like this will help you remain in the business, and it will help you cut down greatly on cost of production. The next tip here that will help you cut down on cost in the factory is to avoid leakages when handling. So when it comes to handling the water for distribution and delivery, or production in the market, or just storing the water, because I've seen where people store water and it wasn't stored properly and they just had a lot of leakages. So it is important for you to store your water and keep it in a place that it won't have pressure on it, because some people stack their water without realizing that this water is actually heavy and there's a lot of load to it. So once you are storing your water in your storage facility, be it bottled water or pure water, try to create space enough to contain your products in such a way that you won't have to jam pack the whole thing and you'll start having leakages in your storage room. Sometimes once the delivery drivers or the motorboys with them are making water delivery, they don't handle the products properly and you end up seeing leakages. And once you have leakages, the customers will request that you replace those leakages. So if you keep on having excess leakages, you see that the money which is supposed to come in as profit will be going out as bad leakages. It is important for you to talk to your staffs and at least get good quality raw materials too that are strong, and also store your water properly so that you avoid leakages. The last and final tip that will help you cut down on costs in your water factory: avoid excess waste of raw materials. So your raw materials like your pure water rolls, your packing bag, your PET bottles, your caps, it is important to handle these raw materials with care. The more raw materials we use, it will cut down on the cost of wastages, leakages, and so on. Let me give you an example. There was a time when the blowing machine operator had a lot of losses when blowing a bag of preforms. I think the losses we had that day was over 1,000 PET bottles that's accumulated. The accumulated PET bottles that we wasted were over 1,000 PET preforms. Although this was an error from the supplier, but what happened was The operator wasn't very experienced. When he was blowing the bottles, when he puts it into the blowing machine and blow the bottles, the pressure of the air from the pet blowing machine wasn't, should I say, it wasn't set, or it wasn't adjusted to that particular preform. So once the air from the pet blowing machine comes in contact with the preform, it actually tears the bottle instead of molding it and bringing it into the proper shape of the bottle. So we had a lot of wastage from the preforms, and those preforms, they cost money. So it is important for you to avoid wastages with your preforms, even your nylon rolls. If the operator working with the pure water machine is not actually checking the machine, and he doesn't have knowledge on setting the machine and adjusting the nylons, sometimes you might end up seeing that a lot of pure water you produce will have leakages, especially that sealing side. That side that cuts the leather from the machine with the pure water. If the machine is not properly adjusted and the person operating the machine is not aware or doesn't have the knowledge on handling the machine properly, you end up seeing that you have a lot of leakages, and you end up having excess leather and nylon coming out of the machine. So it is important for you to make sure that the people handling your machines, especially working with the raw materials and the production side, it is important for you to at least create training classes or sessions whereby you talk to them, educate them, and let them know the implications of having wastages and leakages in the factory. So those are the tips I'll be sharing today, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Also like the video and share it with anybody who you know who has a pure water factory, or is important in, or is interested in setting up a factory. If you also need information on how to acquire if you also need information on how to acquire machines for pure water production, bottled water production, food processing, you can leave a comment or send me an email using the email which I'll leave right on your screen and in the description.